crafty friends, this is the Papered Chef here. In today's tutorial, you are going to learn how to cut out stamped images using the Brother ScanNCut SDX125. You're also going to learn how to create a little layer to put behind your stamped image to help it pop off the page a little better and to help it when you need it to contrast with the background. I have a playlist on cutting stamped images using the Brother ScanNCut, so no matter which model of ScanNCut you have, you should be able to apply these concepts, and you should be able to look at my playlist and look at other tutorials, and maybe you even have some of the same stamp sets I'm using. For this particular tutorial, I'm going to be using the Wildly Happy stamp set, and you're going to be creating some winter babies. The two stamps we're going to be stamping and cutting out are this fox and the baby and the bunny and the baby. I chose these two because I think they look great in winter scenes. So we're going to make some winter baby scenes. This is a cling stamp, meaning these are rubber stamps, and I've already put the sticker on them. So that means that they cling really well to the acrylic block, and they have a lot of detail to them as well. Okay, I'm going to start with the fox. I'm going to put the fox onto Stamping Block D, and the reason I'm using Memento Black ink is because I like to color my stamps using alcohol blends markers. We're not going to be coloring in this particular tutorial, but I will show you the results of the ones I've colored, and if you stick around to the end, you'll see 4 projects that I've created using the fox and baby and bunny and baby. All right, so when I put the ink on the stamp, I just make sure that it's shiny. So I tap, tap, tap onto the ink. And if the ink pad is bigger than the stamp, what I like to do sometimes is just lay the stamp down and then turn the Memento Black over and make sure that I get good coverage that way. Okay, once it's shiny and I get a good coverage, I put it on my silicone mat and I stamp. I'm not stamping too close to the edge of the mat because the ScanNCut will say I'm out of range or I'm out of area when I try to put that extra border around it. Okay, we're going to do one more for good measure. And again, I'm just using the silicone stamping mat, or I think it's called a piercing mat, to put under my stamps, so because my table is not that even. Okay, when you do this tutorial, when you're following along with whatever stamps you have, be sure to put enough space between them because we're going to put a nice big outline distance around them later when we create that layer for your stamped images. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to remove the fox, and I'm just going to put the bunnies now on my stamping block. Of course, you'd clean your stamps using a variety of methods. I have a Stampin' scrub tool for cleaning. Sometimes I even use baby wipes. We have lots and lots of cleaning solutions at Stampin' Up for cleaning your stamps. But in the interest of saving time, I'm not going to clean that one. Okay, now I'm going to do the bunny. I'm going to tap, tap, tap. Look at it. I don't see it. It's not shiny enough all over, so I tap again. Make sure the bottom is shiny. Okay, good. And I'm going to do another one. And not only did I choose these because they work well with winter scenes, and I need enough space between that and the fox. You'll see why. Here, let's just tilt them that way because I need to have those outline distance later. The reason I chose these, not just because they look good with winter scenes, but because these are tricky images. So I'm going to get to show you my pencil trick in this tutorial. Tricky meaning the first time I tried to scan and cut this fox, it didn't recognize. Well, only 1 out of 3 recognized, and then I realized there's tiny little gaps. Okay, and so there's little gaps there, and whenever you have gaps, there's a gap there, right by the ear, and there's a gap down there. Whenever you have gaps, you need to fill those gaps in with the pencil. Okay, I'm going to show you that. I'm going to do it once while it's laying down, and then I'll zoom in, and then I'll bring it closer to the camera because it's just easier for me to draw the pencil marks while it's laying down. Okay, so you take your pencil, and everybody always asks me what kind of pencil. It's just a number 2 pencil from Staples. Here, I'm focusing in because people can't believe me. They say, oh no, this one's not from Staples, which this one's just a number 2 pencil. They say, oh, I tried it, Papered Chef, and it doesn't work. What kind of pencil? You magical pencil? I said, no, I'm just using a number 2 pencil. I'm not using any magical pencil. All right, so, but don't use this eraser. I'll show you my eraser I use Don't use that eraser when you erase the marks because it'll leave a mark. Okay, I'm going to just fill in the gaps with the pencil. You can erase them later. And up here near the ear. And sometimes you have another one over there, but most of the time the ink covers that side. So again, gap here and gap up there. Okay, fill in the gaps. Okay, so you can erase them later because the artist intended them to be there. So again, I'm just bringing this closer so you can see there was a gap there and there was a gap up there. So just check carefully whenever you're having any trouble with any of your stamped images, fill in the gaps. Now this one, the bunny, was kind of tricky, so I'll show you that. I tried to scan the bunny in and all the feet were open. Okay, so they were really the only gaps I had here. It was just all along the feet. So in other words, if there's a gap and it opens up into the body like this, then it's gonna make like a hollow bunny. Like an Easter bunny, you know, like the hollow bunnies you eat. So you don't want a hollow bunny, you want a solid bunny. You want a solid bunny that's going to cut out in one fell swoop. So for this one, it's the pencil trick's very easy. You just take your pencil and you go straight along the bottom, and that's it. So for that one, if you make one straight line along the whole bottom, you're covering in all the gaps. Okay, so I'll show you that close up. There's the line across the bottom. And this one doesn't have the line across the bottom. But of course, I need to put it down to draw the line, right? So we're going to put it down and draw that line, and then we're going to go ahead and scan them in. So we'll erase them later. So now we should have good recognition with our ScanNCut. My mat's already loaded, so I'll pull the machine closer. So what I'm going to do, just to make room, I'll bring my machine closer, but I didn't want to load the mat later because this is one of my mats that I have trouble with. So it's like one of my mats that, like, if it loads, you never want to unload it. You're like, yay, it stays in there. It has to stay in there. It's loaded. It's in other words, every machine has a personality, but I hope yours personality is a good personality. All right, so I'll show you what you missed. You didn't miss anything. I'm going to just show you how to load the mat. So when you turn on your ScanNCut, you see pattern and scan. Okay, those are the two things that you're going to see. Let me make sure my camera's tilted and you don't miss anything. So the only thing that you would do at home, if you're trying this tutorial, is you would load your mat using this button here. And that's what I've done previously. I've loaded my mat. My mat's pretty sticky, so I just stuck the paper onto the mat. Now I'm using the top part of the mat, so I'll show you how to scan just that part. Okay, so go ahead and hit scan. That's what we want. We're going to directly cut these stamped images out. So we're going to hit direct cut. We're directly cutting them. This is asking, where do you want to store the data? We're going to store the data on our machine. Now here's the scan area. Because the fox and the bunnies, the foxes and bunnies, are all up in the top part of the mat, I can go ahead in here to settings, and I can make sure that the scan area is set to 12 by 6. Because why waste time scanning the whole 12 by 12 when you can just scan 12 by 6? So if you're following along with your CM350 or another model, not a DX model, you won't have this option. You're going to have to scan the whole 12 by 12. It'll just take you a little longer, that's all. Okay, no matter if your stamps are in color or not, you still should definitely pick black and white recognition mode. Always start there. 99% of the time, or let's say 95% of the time, I need black and white recognition mode. Now this is black and white stamps, but just a tip for you. As long as you have good contrast between the foreground and the background, black and white recognition mode just seems to always work. Okay, so we're scanning in the images. Okay, now I can tell that's a little close to the side of the mat. So I'm just going to go ahead and lift. I'm just going to do it again because of the layers I need to make. So I'm going to do it again quicker, just to tell you. I'm going to scan, direct cut, temporary storage there. The reason I'm scanning it in again is because when I go to try to put an extra layer around my image, and if it was too close to the side of the mat, to the edge, it'll cut off my extra layer. So while that would have been fine for cutting out my stamped image, not my extra layers. All right, now this is more of what I want. Okay, so we're going to say okay. And now we're going to just frame the part of the image you want. So like frame, just to get rid of the dirty part of the mat, just frame that all in like that. So that's what we want. Okay, we're going to go ahead and say preview. And then we're going to say okay. And we want to add an outline distance. And that'll get rid of the little sort of, it'll be a little forgiving and get rid of that inside bunny there. See, when you put the outline distance, it actually gets rid of any extra little lines it was trying to cut out. So that's what we want. We want an outline distance of 0.04. Now, I'll show you what that looks like. My two examples before we cut it, so you have a visual representation of why I did that. I usually never cut along the line. I always have an outline distance. It's just nicer, in my opinion. Okay, and it gives a good contrast when you color. So that's an outline distance of 0.04 for the bunny, and this is an outline distance of 0.04 for the fox. Okay, so that's what we want, an outline distance of 0.04. We're going to say okay, we're going to say okay. We're going to go ahead and cut these. Select cut. Shouldn't take very long, like a minute, or actually even less than a minute. A minute is the smallest increment that's on the screen. So I'm using an SDX125. That means I have auto blade technology. That means that I don't even have to set the blade depth. It knows what blade depth to use based on the paper it samples before it cuts. If you're using a CM350 or a CM model where you have to set the blade depth manually, I'm using Whisper White cardstock, so I suggest a blade depth of 4 for Whisper White cardstock. Again, I don't need to set it. You would need to set it. Okay, it's almost done. It's on number 4. So whenever you do your stamped images, I always get in the habit of stamping a couple extras, because not all stamped images always cut out so perfectly like these did. And by stamping extras, you'll always have like a good luck. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm just gonna move my machine. Okay, just so you can see, I'm gonna show you how to remove these from the mat, but I need to leave. So this is very important for this step. I'm gonna take the Whisper White off my mat so you can see that. Okay, I'll just move it back a little more. Now, very important, I'm gonna just take a couple of these off. So you could take them off with your little spatula. Okay. Or you can just sort of bend them out a little bit. Now look, I'm not taking them all off yet because I just want to show you something. I'm going to show you the designer series paper. I'll show you a stack of designer series paper, and what we're going to put on here is designer series paper to cut out an extra layer. So I'm just leaving these there as a reference because you want to put the paper over the general area where these are. Okay, but while I have the stack of paper out, I'll just show you the stack of paper real quick because I used this for my projects. It is the most awesome stuff. I don't know how come I waited so long to get this. It's in our holiday catalog, and it's called Feels Like Frost. Oh, I know why I waited. I think it was on back order when I first tried to get it. But they have it right now. We have it right now in my store. Feels Like Frost. So on one side is frosty, and on the other side is a cool winter scene. So I use this for all 4 of the projects I'll be showing you. But fantastic. So I'm just tossing this aside just to go through and show you this real quick. Feels Like Frost. And then if I find one I like to use as the background for my bunnies and foxes, then I will stop there. Like this one I'm saving for an outside scene on a box. Just amazing. Amazing, amazing. Here's a good one that I could put for layers. Let's see. I'm trying to find like a purplish, meaning there's Seaside Spray is one of the colors, and Purple Posy, and this one would be good. And so would this one. Let me go back to this one. I think I'm going to use this one here. Okay, so what you need now to make for your background layers, just so they contrast a little bit with your background of your project, is you want to, I think I'll go for that one. You want to put this in the general area where these stamped images were. So there was a stamped image there, was a stamped image there. So if I'm okay if I put it about there. Okay, so now I can remove the stamped images. You got to get these off because we're going to be just cutting outlines only. All right, so I'm laying this down in the general area. Okay, so you get that part. And I didn't take my mat out. Very important. You're not taking your mat out. Okay, so my Feels Like Frost paper is in there. And we're done cutting our first layer. We did our stamped images. Okay, so here's where we're at, just so nobody's lost. We have used the ScanNCut. We have cut out a stamped image. We've cut out an outline distance of 0.04. Now let's say okay, and now I'm going to go on. We're going to get back to the screen. We're going to hit the back button. Okay, this is all you need to do. We're going to go to this outline distance here, and we're going to change it. not one smidgen up, not 0.08, because that wasn't a good, big enough background for me. I did 0.12 because I was doing some winter scenes. I'm not sure what happened to the middle little piece there, so I have to go back and ignore. I think I need to ignore object size again, or I need to ignore real small objects because something in the middle got selected. I'm not sure what. But let's go back to this outline distance, 0.12. Yeah, now that's good, 0.12. I'm just showing you some troubleshooting techniques. You can actually watch on my videos how I troubleshoot. I was trying to get rid of any extra little things that got selected in the middle there. 0.12, we say okay, we say okay, we cut. Okay, now I stamped them close, these two close together. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I think, no I didn't, it's okay, let me look, okay I didn't, okay good. But that was the reason I was telling you not to stamp them too close together. I'm just gonna go ahead and select cut, and I'm gonna cut them. So even though they looked pretty close there, they look like they're, so here's my skeleton of what I've cut out. See, now I told you not to cut them too close together. So when you put that outline distance around them, they don't overlap. And they're barely touching. Okay, so they're almost overlapping. So I love this Feels Like Frost paper. So if you have a winter baby to give a card to, or just nice, you can make little Christmas presents for babies, gift card holders. I'm about to show you what I did with all these. Okay, so let's do this. Let's say okay, and we're going to, well now I'm not afraid to remove the mat, okay, because I've already done my tutorial. So let's say remove the mat, and we say okay. Okay, so now I can get rid of the machine, get it out of the way, and show you my projects, make some room on my table. All right, so let's do this. Let's push the machine back here. All right, so we have the Feels Like Frost paper. Now this was what we did for our outline. Okay, so I'm gonna peel that off the mat. Perfect. I thought they were about to touch, but they didn't overlap. Okay, so when you have a stamped image and you wanna make an outline for it, you just simply make a bigger outline distance. And that way it'll help you contrast with the background. Okay? And some of them are gonna come out better than others. Like I think this one's a little better. We use that one. Okay? And then, of course, when you put that onto another color background, you can see how it helps it pop off the page, and it helps it give it an outline distance. And so does coloring as well. Gives it some contrast. Okay, and for the bunny, let's do the bunny one. Okay, here's the bunny. Oops. There's that outline distance of 0.12. Also, I've done this with a 0.08 outline distance. Just for these particular projects, I used 0.12. But you can use a 0.08 outline distance or any outline distance you want. And they'll come out. You know, as long as you have a little bit of an outline distance, these are gonna help contrast when you have your projects. All right, so I've shown you the Feels Like Frost. I've shown you the Wildly Happy. Okay, so this one was this Wildly Happy is in our annual catalog. Okay, annual catalog. Those are the ones I send out in the spring to my customers. I'm still sending out holiday catalogs though. This Feels Like Frost is in the holiday catalog. So if you would like a holiday catalog, please let me know using the contact form. All right, now, other products I'm using for these projects are the Sprig Punch. Okay, it's called Sprig Punch. In fact, let me tilt my camera down. And the Sprig Punch is great for cutting out little pieces of foiled paper, like the Feels Like Frost. Okay, I just need to put some things in my view of my camera. And I'm using some retired items because that's how I roll. I got these iridescent Boxwood Wreaths. They were on clearance, and they're not available anymore, but I still need to explain my products I use because, you know, a lot of you have Stampin' Up! Products and you may be using them. And finally, I'm using something else that's retired called the Silver Gable boxes. Okay, so I'm going to show you my cards first, and then I'll show you my boxes. Okay, so the cards first. Let me show you the girly card. Okay, this is Wildly Happy. I used the sentiment called Wildly Happy, and some stitched stitch shapes dies to put that little stitching there. And I've also teach in my classes how to make some stitching using your ScanNCut. I use those Boxwood Wreaths to give it some wintry flare, glare, whatever you want to call it. I use this little sparkle tape that I got in the Let It Snow embellishment kit. And there's the sprig punch. Excuse me, I need to cough, sorry. I use the sprig punch for creating three little sprig elements. Now these foiled cards are part of our annual catalog. I've shown how to cut out the insides for these cards before when I've done how to cut out oval frame windows and things. This is from the Magnolia Lane. These cards, they're nice craft cards. They're already foiled with silver. That's why I chose to use this Feels Like Frost with these. I thought it went really well together. And I even cut this one down. So this is actually a shorter version of the card. And I'll show you the longer version of the card when I did the more masculine one. All right, so where was I? I talked about the little sparkly washi tape, which looks like snow. That's from Let It Snow embellishment kit. This is Wildly Happy. That's Wildly Happy. There's that layer that I just showed you how to cut out. The layer helps pop off the page. Feels Like Frost Designer Series paper. Foiled card from Magnolia Lane Suite in our annual catalog. Okay, so that's one project. And now I'm going to show you a card that I made for a little boy, a baby boy. Okay, winter baby. Okay, and so here's the fox. Oh, and by the way, Stampin' blends. Colored them with Stampin' blends. I forgot to tell you that. And Purple Posy and some Highland Heather and Wink of Stella. The little bit of glitter on the bunnies. Okay, so now I'll tell you about these. I used Cajun Craze for my fox and a little bit of ivory and some crumb cake to color my foxes. Oh, what are you doing here, bunny? Okay, and I used the sprig punch again and some ribbon that's retired. I forget what it's called, but it was part of the Geared Up Garage. It might not be retired. It's called metallic ribbon. Hey, it might still be in the catalog. I'll make a list of all the products I used. Sweetest Baby, and that is from the stamp set here that we're using, the Wildly Happy, and stamped it in Memento Black. And what else? Again, Magnolia Lane cards. And then, oh, the inside. That's what else. I knew I needed to show you something. This Feels Like Frost paper makes good insides for the cards as well, because it's nice and light and you can write over the top of it. So I thought that was kind of cool. And the inside of this baby card. And this was the longer baby card. I said I had a long one and I had a short one. So let me move that before I show you my favorite project, which are the boxes. All right, so this one, and the inside, that was what I showed you. The inside is that Feels Like Frost scene. So I'm not usually into like photorealistic things on designer series paper, but when the other side is frosty like this, I mean, you can't go wrong. If I had a whole pack of photorealistic paper, I would say, maybe not. But when I saw the silver frost and I can do stuff with snow, I can do all kinds of things, then I got excited about that paper. I'm just keeping it real. I don't always get excited about products because sometimes it takes me a while to get them. And finally, when I start using them, then I start seeing all the possibilities. All right, so now I'm going to show you. So you can do this with other boxes. These boxes are retired, but maybe some of you bought them on clearance. But you can do this with other types of boxes, the same kind of concept. So now I'm doing another winter babies here. Instead of the purplish, I used Seaside Spray blends, which was another coordinating color, and the Seaside Spray for those bunnies with the little layer behind the bunnies. And I used the sprig punch, and I just used stitched rectangles for like the sides and a stitch square die I had, so that the whole box is decorated. And there's that Boxwood wreath. I like how it kind of accents, it's shiny. And I put it around a stitched oval shape. Okay, so that's another, so that we have the two bunny projects, which would be good for baby girls. And then I have another box, and it's good for baby boys. And for you, little one, again, stamps from the Wildly Happy. Again, same color combination, Cajun Craze for the fox. Because I was actually in Yellowstone National Park and I saw an orange fox run across the field. It was the most amazing thing because I'd never seen one like that in the wild. And so, but it was orange, and I didn't want to use orange on a Christmas, on a winter scene. So I used Cajun Craze because it was kind of not brown, but kind of orangey, because that's what I think a fox looks like to me. Okay, so anyway, then back to that sprig punch. Again, more of that Feels Like Frost. I'm putting silver on silver around the sides of the boxes. and just some little sprigs and some of that metallic ribbon. And by the way, whenever you see a little dimension on the stitch shapes that I cut out using that, they were actually traditionally die cut, meaning with a big shot, or actually I have a vagabond. But whenever you see that's when I did some inking with crumb cake, or like, you know, a little antiquing around the edges for special effect. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the projects. I hope your wheels are spinning as to all the possibilities of all these different things you can do with the stamped images that you cut out with the ScanNCut. I wanted to mention one more thing that I don't mention very often, is that when you cut out stamped images with the ScanNCut, you're leaving yourself more room to let your backgrounds, to show off your backgrounds, and also more room for these to stand out. Because you could stamp these different critters or these little babies onto different shapes. However, that shape would take up way more of the background. So I think one of the really nice things about stamping images and cutting them out is just giving your card much more room to breathe. You have like different focal points you can do, because your stamped image is just over there by itself, and then you can decorate the cards and projects a lot better, in my opinion. But just another reason we love the ScanNCut, right? Well, that's why you're all here. So thank you for watching. This is the Paper Chef. And if you're new here to my channel, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.